All right, everyone, very interesting link in the description, archived, of course, to an article about, I guess there was a fat sex therapist or a fat sex therapist. I'm not sure if there's supposed to be a comma after fat. I'm not even trying to make a joke. I don't know, because both technically work. And apparently she was like making comments. She's like, you know, morbidly obese. And she was making comments about how the idea of dieting was like, she considered it a form of assault. And like to tell kids, like, you know, basically like eat healthy, you know, try not to become, you know, round because people normally aren't ball shaped. That was a form of child abuse or something like that. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, we've definitely hit a criticality point at which you know, we're in clown world basically. That's definitely true. Now some people have been saying that for years anyway. And they're like, I'm a slippery slope, like gay rights will lead to, like, you know, pedophile marriages and stuff. I don't believe in that necessarily, but there are always some weirdos in society that will end up inevitably pushing shit like that. Now, what becomes a social movement, if you look back at the history, like within anthropology or even within spirituality, and I have to do this as a job because I edit this sort of stuff. If you look back, you'll find all sorts of little sub-movements that never really took off. I don't think, for example, the idea that the state would come in and punish people for telling their kid, you know, put down the ice cream cone, you're getting a little bit too pudgy. I don't think that that's ever going to happen. But there are going to be people that will seriously suggest it. And the worst part is, of course, sometimes people say off-the-wall shit to get attention. Like, I mean, if that's her goal here, she obviously won, I suppose. I'm making a video about it. To get attention, and it's tongue-in-cheek. Like, I think this about Coulter, and I've made no mistake about telling people, yes, I believe that she's an opportunist that does not believe most of what she says. She just says it to get attention. She's won by doing so. She's made millions of dollars. Good on her. I don't believe she actually believes in everything she says. I believe this about a lot of people. In fact, I know some commentators, not naming names, who actually function in that manner. And by the way, I don't really have a big problem with it. I mean, like, let's say someone's like hyper-libertarian or something, like, oh, I love buy gold, you know, fuck, you know, ANCAP for the win. Well, at least they're fighting for a good cause. I don't really care if they, you know, don't live that fully authentic life. Technically speaking, by the way, if a person's like pretending to be an anarcho-capitalist for gain, technically they're still being an anarcho-capitalist in the most literal and pure sense. Like, hey, I'm making a profit. Don't tread on me, bro. It's very funny. By the way, do you remember Don't Tase Me, Bro? It was like a fucking 10-year-old meme at this point. That was really funny. I remember that one. It's showing my age here a little bit. That was before the days of Styx Hexenhammer being a thing on YouTube for the most part. But no, I'm looking at this. And the other thing I read into it is, why is it that it seems like people who are like SJWs, cultural Marxists, people on the far left, I'm not talking about, well, some garden variety liberal, like a Joe Biden supporter or something. Why is it that people on the farthest left are always unpleasant individuals? Like, even the way they look often is like unpleasant, and I'm thinking to myself, it must be like a sort of cultural thing, like people that disdain beauty. People that want to drag others down, and like if you want to equalize society, it's way easier to drag down the best of people than to try to uplift the worst of people. Like, that requires effort. It's easy if you use the state's power to just abuse people who have actually made it, or you know, people who are strong, people who are beautiful, and yes, there are standards of beauty within society that are more objective and concrete because they're universally agreed upon. You know, people that are wealthy, they've made it because of that. And I'm not talking about the parasite class of hedge fund investors. I'm talking about the working rich. Like, oh my God, this physician has $2 million in the bank. Well, yeah, that physician, how many lives did they save last week? Fucking, I don't begrudge them their six-figure salary. Trust me, or, you know, some people, they do prodigious work. They do work hard. They make a business. They pull themselves up by their bootstraps, literally. Yeah, I think that's a good thing. Leftists disagree. It's almost like they want everyone to be like them, hypocritical and ugly, which is often what the case is. And just speaking in the physical sense in many cases, like you look at some of these people, these commentators, like, again, not naming names, but there's a certain Mohawk communist out there who wears suits that were almost certainly produced by capitalistic labor, not naming names. Another one who is a little bit on the short side and recently sparred with Brittany Venti and got his shit shoved in, who basically, you know, when he inevitably loses the debate, he whines for a while and then pretends like it never happened. Yeah, that dude. Yeah, I'm just thinking of people who look physically unpleasant. And of course, I can already don't worry, I'm under no illusion. Some leftists will be like, well, you're nothing to look at too. Yeah, okay, but I'm not physically deformed. I think my style's a little bit better than theirs. Just putting that out there, just saying. I'm very comfortable in my own skin. Some of these people barely fit in their own skin. There's a little bit of a difference. And like on the topic of fat shaming and stuff, like if someone's got like some genetic disorder, it's like, yeah, I'd leave them alone. It's like calling people names because they happen to be overweight is wrong. I don't do it. Like, you know, they say, oh, fat ass. Okay, well, you know, that could, you know, sometimes the stress is what's causing that. They're eating to relieve the stress of being bullied, becomes sort of a cycle. And I don't begrudge them, like, and then they'll be, like, trying harder. Like, I can imagine, like, if you get fat, you go to the gym to try to work out and people are making, like, elephant noises at you. Yeah, you probably go home and eat ice cream. So I can understand that, and I can understand, like, if someone's just a little bit overweight, who fucking cares? Like, you know, trust me, sometimes it's good to be a little bit curvy and get some more cushion for the push, and if you know what I'm saying, that's fine. But when people, like, they let themselves go, they try to justify that. It's no different than if they're trying to justify any other deficiency. And that's really what it is, like, hey, yeah, I'm dumb, so that makes me special. Or something like that. Like, I can't do something, therefore it puts me in a special class. And it's just like a participation trophy mentality, and it's a little bit odd. I think society functions best when we tolerate the fact that there are differences in people, but at the same time there are certain standards that we encourage. I don't think the state should force anything, and I don't think people should be mistreated. But at the same time, I think when someone is sitting there saying it's child abuse to tell your child to eat healthy, like, you fucking eat your Brussels sprouts. It's like, dude, Brussels sprouts are tasty. Maybe you should try it sometime. Have you ever even bothered? I mean, if someone's, like, on the far left, if they've got that SJW mentality, you know, they probably never leave their echo chamber. It's very funny how they know very much about, like, they want to give their opinion on sociopolitics all the time, but they've never even talked to somebody from another culture. They live in their gated community with their other upper middle class individuals who are invariably of several ethnicities. You know, there's a token black that they allow in their neighborhood, and they think that that makes them progressive. That's the way some of these people think. I've met them. I've been around people that have that weird mentality. It's just like fucked up, dude. Meanwhile, they're most racist if you meet them in private. Oh God, they say crazy shit. No, and they're sexist too. Trust me. As someone who was like a college liberal, I've hung around people. They're like, yeah, like Barack Obama, 2012 and stuff. You get a different feeling when you're actually around these people. It's a little different. Meanwhile, I talk to people that are like, you know, far right and stuff, and like in private conversations, they don't even give a fuck. Like, they do political commentary. They just want to talk about like gaming or something, or fucking, or any of a million other things. And it's really funny. It's like over time, by interacting with people, I broke through my originally liberal echo chamber. Meanwhile, people like this, like, you know, I guess if you create your own gravity, it inevitably creates a little bit of a barrier around you. There's like a wall of dust, I guess, around some of these people. This video is a little bit more funny, but I just thought it was a funny article. You should read it if you want a quick chuckle. That's about all. Peace out.